wanted to also review with the quarterback plan is starting Jimmy Garoppolo this season because similar to the spot they were in last offseason, the 49ers can trade or cut Jimmy Garoppolo with almost no financial penalty. Why do you think they ultimately decided to stay with Jimmy Garoppolo as the starter for the full season? And why don't you think they even really considered Trey Lance? Because it seems like there wasn't much of a quarterback competition at all.
I think there was quarterback competition. They just never came out and said it because so many. And I do believe when Jim Trotter last week said, they did consider him until that fractured finger. The only reason I said it when it was happening during the preseason that while he had a good first 10 days of training camp, he did teeter off. And I think that's true. What everyone says, I think that's consensus. And even though I was only there for like 5 practices, I wasn't even there for the first 10 days. He went off, but still, when I was there, like other than one practice where he looked wow. He just looked neck and neck with Garoppolo, but at that point, when they look neck and neck, it's like, okay, well, just go with Trey Lance then. But then
Right.
again, it's different because it's when you get the pass rush in your face, that's definitely it's not the same. That's why all this talk about he's not ready. Like, no duh. That's why you got to play him.
Yeah.
So ultimately, we'll say in terms of plan is starting Jimmy Garoppolo. Look, Kyle Shanahan was validated the moment they went to the playoffs, and it just became even cemented in the NFC title game. Like ultimately, we were kind of wrong. But I do think that they would have been relatively close to where they would have been with Trey Lance, because in theory, you would hope the first half of the season would have been rough goings, which it was rough going in the offense anyways in that first half of the season. And it wasn't really so much quarterback play. It was just, God, what was that offensive identity? If it wasn't for the defense being an anchor, they probably would have lost another game or two. But sure. I just see it as that if Trey Lance had blown up against the Chiefs, especially the Chargers, because the first game against the Chiefs, it was like, okay, decent start, whatever. And then he picked it up in that second game against the Chargers and looked really good, and then still looked pretty good against the Raiders. And at that point, it turns into a Raiders Derek Carr moment when it's like the coach is like, my hands are tied. He looked hella good out there. I have an explanation to tell you guys, the media, tell the fans, tell the teammates. Like, did you guys see that out there? And you say the way that some of these players are talking about Lance through Montana, true or not, which I don't think it's too out of the realm of possibility because they know they're a playoff team, is that they don't foresee, they can't project or see the future like that. I'm not saying like you need to do that, but there's a reason why most general managers who make the moves should be more empowered than a head coach, because they can see past them in the moment. And I think ultimately where Shanahan he saw immediately, okay, Garoppolo, I know what I have with him. I'm ready to win right now with him. I can already coach around him. And look, he did. And we're Trey Lance, and I think even Shanahan said that before, where, hey, when he's starting, that means I have to learn again too. So it's almost like I got to develop him and then develop myself to coach with him. So I think personally, Shanahan wasn't ready to, or even wanted to like invest in that right now. That's the thing with coaches. They live too much in the now. They don't project. That's why I do think Mac Jones was a close second in being drafted, because he is the most quarterback ready in that draft. And that's what a lot of coaches and coordinators love the most. They just see someone that they can put immediately in a system and just run it. They don't really see too much like, all right, let's see what he's going to be from this quarter of the season to the end of the quarter, whatever. And I don't think they really saw it that way. They just saw like, we have a bunch of talent. Let's win now with Garoppolo, and maybe just hope Lance learns a little bit from behind the scenes, even though he's not really, they already admitted he knew the system by the time the season started, and he's not really getting worked on personally. So I think at this point, this is going to be something we're all going to circle back to by the time it's like the middle of the season in 2022 to see if Garoppolo, Lance is looking a little hit or miss. At that point, we're going to be like, all right, did they make the right decision? And then, if they miss the playoffs or whatnot, or regardless if they miss the playoffs or not, and Lance looks so skittish, imagine what we're going to say if we just said, what if you guys started in rookie year? Now year 2 would have been catapulted, and all you did was turn his year 1 with Garoppolo into the same thing year 2. You're just pretty much just running on a treadmill and going nowhere. So, I mean, in that case, like, again, Shanahan was validated in a way. But I think ultimately, again, this is going to be something we look back to some points in the season about Lance.
Oh, I totally agree with that. I think it's going to be a big talking point once we really get a feel for where Trey Lance is at some point around the bye week midpoint of the season. I think that's a great point. And the one thing also, Jose, that I'm really thinking about now is that it feels like in order for Trey Lance to have taken over that starting spot this past season, Jimmy Garoppolo would have either had to outright fail in like spectacular fashion, or Trey Lance, like you said, would have had to blow the team out of the water before the start of the season. I don't think either of those things happened.
No, yeah, 1,000%. And that's why Kyle Shanahan said that, hey, had we not won that Rams game, then Lance probably would have started, or it would have been soon. So it's like, it pretty much was all right, we failed, play Lance. And if they did fail, then my God, the floodgates would have been blown open by us and Grant and everyone just saying, like, you guys are so stupid for not starting Lance from the start. Look, no duh. But in a way, he does get the last laugh because, hey, they went to the NFC title game, and that's really what they wanted to do, make a serious run like that, even though, Garoppolo didn't really play that much of a factor about it. But and again, hey, that's all you got to do is get there. That's what they did. But ultimately, I think it's poetic justice in how they lost to the Rams, where one team was fully committed to making the quarterback move and the other team was just straddling the fence. So you kind of saw what happened there.
Exactly. They played 1 foot in, 1 foot out the entire season with this whole quarterback situation. I mean, really, since they drafted Trey Lance, 2021 was, hey, are we going to do this? Are we not going to do this? Maybe, maybe not. There was just this weird vibe all year and I think, like you said, with Jim Trotter's report, it's clear they were very close to potentially starting Lance. So it was not out of the realm of possibilities. And it's definitely something that easily could have happened. And I want to go over to the comments real quick. I see Ekim's over there. First of all, he says, "Hi, Jose. Good to see you, Ekim, in here." He said, though, not sure what Trey could learn from Jimmy. Besides the open throws Jimmy makes. What's he saying here? Okay, he's saying maybe he could learn to throw to open DBs and linebackers. You know what? It seems like Trey Lance could have learned by learning not what to do through Jimmy Garoppolo. But yeah, I don't know. Like you said, Jose, I don't know what Trey Lance really gained during the season besides the games he actually played in. I mean, we knew he was on the scout team, but even then, it's like, how much better can you really get in that sort of situation? It's just strange. And one more comment. Yeah, Ekim, you nailed it. This team is sitting on the fence, make the move or not. And Jose, I think that was the most frustrating thing for me all season, was that it really felt like this team wanted to do two things at once. They wanted to try and win in the present and win in the future. And by trying to do both of those things, maybe they didn't fail at both, but I think they hurt their chances at maximizing what they could do with either of those things. Because the way I see it is, if you really thought you were a true Super Bowl contender, the way they talked about that they were, why didn't you use all that draft capital and those picks to go up and make your team better and make the team better around Jimmy Garoppolo? If they think they have a winning window, why not do that? And then if you don't think you have a winning window for the present and you're drafting that guy for the future, why do you keep Jimmy Garoppolo around? I think that's the thing I really get back to more than anything with this plan is, although it did work, and you're right, they made it to the NFC Championship game. You cannot gloss over that. And I think the fact that Shanahan had so much pressure on him before the season, during the season, there was all those moments. I think that mattered a lot too. But by sitting on the fence, it feels like this team potentially wasted some time with Trey Lance, at least in my opinion. I know some people will push back on that, but I really ultimately feel like they maximized what they could do with Jimmy Garoppolo. And at the end of the day, you don't know if Trey Lance would have done better. In fact, I'm not saying he would have done better, but I think he would have provided a higher ceiling for this team, and I don't think that's unfair.